Let's see if this game is going to work today.
Previously during the investigation, these puppies are making me go to another town in the boondocks again.
I didn't think you'd keep me waiting in the rain for so long.
Welcome to Greenville. I'm the sheriff, George Woodman. Call me George.
There's definitely something in this town. Do you feel it, Zach? My coffee warned me about it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. What time is it? Alright. Yep, still time to head over to the community center if it will let me. Yeah? Oh. My head hurts a little bit today, and it's one of those kind of hurty head days where, like, if my head is the wrong temperature. Oh, great, the game crashed again. Come on. If my head is the wrong temperature, it's worse. If it's too cold, if it's too hot, if it's in the wrong position. Come on, game, please. Mm-hmm. Load, load, load. Come on.
Previously during the investigation.
Maybe if I go out another door, it'll work. Cause if I can't make this work, then I'm gonna have to like start up the next game. I get. Well, yeah, I could just go back to Deponia for now. Can I like? Will this work? Alright, come on, just going out another door, somehow make it work. Please? Okay. Back to Deponia. Heck no. There we go. Update. Close. Game capture. Where is it? Come on. There we go. Okay. What the hell was I even doing in this game? Oh yeah, I had to do something with these cats.
A cat in a hamster wheel. Aww, cute. Strange. So a cat licks the stamp? Well, I hope it knows what it's doing. A bit too slow or a bit too fast, and whoops-a-daisy, the package gets the wrong postage.
Okay, so I'm supposed to mess with the postage. Okay, I have an espresso, which will probably make the cats go fast, and I have a tranquilizer, which will probably put the cat out. What happens if I...
Right, it should shift back a gear. Come on, kitty, kitty, kitty. I like how it's all relaxed now.
It's just straight up passed out. And what if this one's running the wheel if I make it go turbo?
Right, it could really speed up a bit. Come on, kitty, kitty, kitty. Hey, the
This-
coffee makes it work faster. I should apply for a job as producer for a video
Nah.
game developer.
Okay, so that cat's tweaking out. What do I need to do?
Hi.
Please state your business.
Hold on a second.
See you later.
Do I give you this?
I've got these gift vouchers from Tony's shop.
Gift vouchers verified. 1 light lead weight from storeroom 1. Supply your address now.
Where to? I mean, what?
Eh.
Postage being scanned. Error. Postage paid is 2 times less than it should be. Dispatch canceled. Please place new order.
Huh, okay, maybe I need to do the other thing then? What if I give this one the tranquilizer and the other one the coffee?
There, back to normal speed.
Okay, so if I give it... If I make this one slow down,
I like how it's all relaxed now.
and then what if I give this one the coffee?
It could really speed up a bit.
Okay, now it's back to normal, but what if I make a tweak out?
Hey, the coffee makes it.
Okay, what happens if I do this now?
I've got these gift vouchers.
Gift vouchers verified. 1 light lead weight from storeroom 1. Supply your address now.
Where to?
Address.
What?
Dis-
Put on so much stamps.
Postage being scanned. Error. Postage paid is 3 times as much as it should be. Packages of postage level 3 are not suitable for the transport of small goods. Padding with bubble wrap initiated. Pop. Oh, yeah. 1 heavy package is being dispatched. Pigeon from large pigeonhole is being dispatched.
Okay, that was the small one, right? Okay, the medium-sized one went there. Oh no, fell down. Can I, Can I go get the package somehow? Oh, I think I messed up. Let me put the cats back to normal.
It should shift back a gear. There, back to normal speed.
Okay, I think I need to figure out how to get them all. I need to get you up there. That's the one I was having trouble with. So yeah, I need to make it, 312 or 321? Wait, wait, do I need to make the one in the middle the lowest one? I'm really not good at these types of puzzles. Mm. Mm. It's like I'm looking at my other stuff. No matter what, I keep ending up with 2 on the side, so the middle one is always 2. Wait, what was I even trying to
I'll
do
leave it
here?
like this for now. Maybe this helps.
I need to get to the radio. Okay, well, can I go find the package that fell? Would it be out here? Did it fall somewhere out here? No. Uh, um, is there anything else I can play at the moment? I am liking this game, but I'm so tired right now. Hold on. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm so tired. I could try the next game on here, which is Depression Quest. I just got Blasphemous. I could play Bird Gut. I could play more Beep. What if I just played some Don't Starve? What if I just did that? go. Okay. Change the game capture again. Glad no one's here to see me fumble around. Hmm. Hoo-hoo! Awesome, I got a little Stonehenge fire pit. Oh. I love this chest design. Oh. I already have Warthogs. Nice. Oh-ho! Golly. Am I getting these entire sets? Oh my god. Ho-ho! Oh my god, there are so many today. That's... Oh Christ, it's adorable. Ho-ho! I really like the pajama shirts. Oh, pajama pants. Oh! That's great. Nice. That was a very generous chest. Oh, is this because I got the original... Oh. Is this because I got the original game and its DLCs the other day? Ooh. Oh, golly. Okay. Well then. Mm-mm. I can check those out later. That just... Wow, that was a lot. Let's go work on Hell Misery Death World. It was getting all nice and hot climate-wise around here, and then yesterday and today it started getting really windy and overcast and rainy, and I hate it. Currently drinking some chocolate atole. Try to warm up. Mm. It's getting there. Can't remember what season it was in the game. I probably should have checked. I think they're still in winter. Maybe getting to spring. Come on, something wrong. At 2, don't starve. It's okay, it just needs a minute. Oh. Right, it is spring. Mm. Mm. Do we not have a... Heck. Oh my god, I completely spaced on making a... Where is it? Lightning rod. Yeah, what else do I need? Okay, don't have enough yet for another one. Ugh. Let's set this out here and just kind of hope it stays. Ah. Heck. I love her little voice. Mm. Huh. So I suppose it wouldn't hurt to try to find the oasis. Mm. Heck. Dang it. Where's my goddamn... Whew. Might as well just eat all of those. Heck. Grassland over there. That area is just mostly swamp. Yeah, can I make another boat? Yes. Lost a bunch of my map again. Yeah, been to all those areas and I didn't find the oasis yet, so maybe it's over in this direction. Oh, no, 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 no. Come on. Come on, no. At least let me pick up the spider stuff. Come on. Come on. I agree, she's stuck. Okay. You good? You okay? You alright? Oh dear. How can that still move and hit me, but I can't move? That is unfair. Great. Okay, something's wrong. Hold on. Maybe I should just go to my next game. I have been wanting to play Depression Quest for a while. It's just gonna take a lot of, like, talking. Hmm. Yeah, screw it. I can't really... Nothing's working right now. So... So I'll try to move on to the next game. I'll start it up fast. Okay, hold on. Is it gonna capture? Yeah, come on. Okay, let's see if this will... It's not capturing. Come on. Okay, come on. Uh... No. No. Can it seriously not? Okay. Hold on. I guess I'll just have to do it like that. That, well, yeah. That can sort of work. This bit smaller. Okay, let's play Depression Quest. Depression Quest, an interactive nonfiction about living with depression by Zoe Quinn, Patrick Lindsay, Isaac Chankler. The menu is just like... Isn't it just like a... Okay, a scroll page. It's all like text-based. Okay, apparently it has controller version. Okay. I'm sure it'll let me know. Okay. Okay, that's good. We got. Okay. Depression Quest is a game that deals with living with depression in a very literal way. This game is not meant to be a fun or lighthearted experience. If you are currently suffering from the illness and are easily triggered, please be aware that this game uses stark depictions of people in very dark places. If you are suicidal, please stop playing this game and visit the suicide prevention hotline to talk to someone. The goal of this game is twofold. Firstly, we want to illustrate as clearly as possible what depression is like so that it may be better understood by people without depression. Hopefully, this can be something to spread awareness and fight against the social stigma and misunderstandings that depression sufferers face. Secondly, our hope is that in presenting as real a simulation of depression as possible, other sufferers will come to know that they aren't alone, and hopefully derive some measure of comfort from that. It goes without saying that because of the very nature of depression, it is experienced differently by every person who suffers from it. We aren't trying to say that this is the best or most accurate representation, merely that this is an amalgamation of the experiences of the developers and several people close to them. Many of the following encounters deal with issues such as therapy, medication, handling a love life, and reaching out to support networks. In reality, less than half of depression sufferers actually seek treatment for reasons such as lack of money, perceived personal failing, or public stigma. These things were included in order to touch upon as broad a range as possible, since all these elements can be very important to sufferers of depression, though they will likely not be the experiences of most sufferers. It's important to recognize that not everyone with depression is so lucky. Many people with the illness don't have a lot of luxuries that we have in this game. We've written it this way so that we can focus specifically on the illness, which becomes more and more difficult to deal with as the person who has it is less and less well off. This game uses audio as part of the play experience. We encourage you to play with your sound on. Thank you for playing. Okay. It is early on a Monday morning. You are a mid-20s human being. You have a significant other named Alex who you are rather fond of, that you have been seeing exclusively for the past few months. The rest of your social circle consists of a variety of friends and acquaintances, some of whom you met at your day job, which is a little boring but pays the rent. You'd like to be doing more with your life, as would your parents, but you're still in the process of figuring out what that means and how to go about it. Can I click on these? Oh. Wait, back. Okay. You're also dealing with, you're still in the process of figuring out what it means to go and how to go about it. You're also dealing with motivation issues that sometimes makes dealing with these things difficult. You feel like this is probably your fault, and on bad days can feel inwardly angry and down on yourself for being lazy. But you're not quite sure how you can break out of it, or how other people deal with these feelings, and it seems so very functional. You spend a lot of nights fixating on thinking about this, but never seem to do anything about it other than lose sleep. Okay, let's read about our significant other. You met Alex through a mutual friend a few months back. The two of you hit it off pretty well that first night, and after a series of initially awkward dates, you finally became a couple, much to your surprise and excitement. Alex is 3 months younger than you are and is currently a student with a part-time job and broad social circle. She's also got a wide variety of interests, and sometimes you also worry that you might be too boring for her, but she has been good at trying to reassure you that she's happy with you. Your relationship consists of a lot of nights in watching Netflix when you both got the time off work and she doesn't have classes, with the occasional social outing that she tends to have to talk you into attending. She tries to be understanding when you are in one of your moods, as she puts it, though you are starting to feel like she doesn't understand what it's like for you, and this is a source of tension in your relationship. Coupled with your reluctance to want to go to college parties, this feeds your worry of not being exciting enough for them. Social circle. Your social circle is made up of a few close friends, some of which you've known from high school, and some from jobs that you've worked. You've also made various acquaintances through reluctantly going to social events with Alex, and you keep in touch with a few friends of friends that you occasionally run into. You also have several online friends that you talk to regularly that you feel as guarded with, possibly due to communicating from the safety of being behind the keyboard. You enjoy the low commitment of the friendship, since they don't expect very much of you other than to listen and share personal thoughts and experiences. Despite the low commitment, you feel fairly connected with these people, and tend to be more honest with them than people you interact with in real life on a day-to-day basis. You feel incredibly nervous trying to make new friends on your own and are very good at talking yourself out of going to unfamiliar places or large social engagements, regardless of how much you may actually want to attend. Meeting new people stresses you out to a high degree, and this is something you wish you could work past. You admit you have a bad habit of flaking on social engagements, even with longtime friends, and are puzzled as to why some days you just can't force yourself to go see these people that you really do care about. Those that have stuck around long enough to be that close with you understand that this is a thing you do sometimes, and have seemed to be more or less accepted, even though they chide you for it on occasion. However, you'd have friends in the past give up trying to maintain a friendship with you because of this trait, taking your social anxieties as a personal slight, or even getting tired of trying to track you down all the time. You feel incredibly guilty about this, but are not quite sure how to change. Bro, I also suck at keeping up with people. Day job. You have a day job, which you feel is really nothing special. You started out receiving minimum wage, but have stayed around long enough to be making enough to support yourself. The work is dull and unrewarding, and most days you feel like just about anyone could do it. You have a hard time relating to most of your coworkers, so you mostly keep to yourself and couldn't get the work done while you're there. And just get to, you mostly keep to yourself and get the work done while you're there. There are one or two people you chat with, though you wouldn't consider yourself close to them. A lot of days lately, you've had a really hard time getting out of bed and forcing yourself to go in. You're starting to wonder how long you can keep this up. You'd really like to find another job in your field of interest, but feel you are underqualified every time you look at online job postings. Sometimes you think about going back to school, but you would be unsure how you would be able to support yourself, and wonder if the degree would really help anyway. You're one of the few people you know whose parents never got divorced, but you do wonder if they still love each other sometimes. You have an older brother named Malcolm who has moved across the country with his wife to work a high paying job. Every major holiday that you see him at, you feel a bit jealous and like the lesser kid, despite being genuinely happy to see him. You feel very ashamed of these feelings. Your parents genuinely care about you. This often involves inviting you back to your childhood home for dinner, though your mother thinks you never visit quite enough. But you get the impression they don't fully understand you. They want to see you succeed and don't know why you haven't gone about your motivation. You haven't gone farther in life yet because you're so smart and talented. Anytime you've tried to talk to them about your motivation issues, they tell you that the solution is to simply work harder or want it more. Your father is generally more forgiving of your lack of a career path, while your mother seems to think you're too smart to be in the position you're in. You know they love you and that they're not bad people, but you really feel like a big disappointment sometimes. Ain't that the fucking mood? It's an unseasonably warm Wednesday evening. You spent the past several hours at work. The past week or so, you found your job motivation flagging more so than usual. You've been in a fog practically all day today, simply going through the motions without realizing even what you've been doing half the time. And yet, time seemed to be moving at half speed. You're so checked out that when your boss approaches you to tell you that it's dead and you can go home, I'll go home early, it barely registers. As you walk home, the streets hiss from the recent rainfall. You know that your significant other will be in classes until late, another couple hours at least. You briefly consider using this serendipitous solitude to catch up on that project that you've been working on haphazardly for the past few months. What project? A while back, you and some of your older friends were at a bar catching up after liquefying considerably more of your paycheck than that was perhaps responsible, and ending up thoroughly in your cups. You open up to the only people you really consider close to and end up launching into a drunken tirade about the meaninglessness of your utterly menial job and ultimately your own existence. Having never even seen you in such a state before, your friends were briefly taken aback by your sudden and characteristic outburst. One of your friends suggests that you get involved with your hobby on a more regular long-term basis, suggesting that spending your energy on something you actually care about might help you to better cope with the shittiness of your 9 to 5. Although you were embarrassed that you let your guard down and felt self-conscious at seeming to have to single-handedly bring down the mood at the table, you convinced yourself on the cab ride home that maybe it would be worth trying out. You began your project some months ago and have miraculously managed to keep at it, though your level of motivation and subsequent effort rises and falls considerably. While you were surprised when you started at how good it felt to actually work on something you were passionate about, lately you found it hard to muster the energy to really even care about this. As soon as you think about the work that awaits you at home, you can feel the panic creeping in from the back of your brain, unbidden. All you can think about is how incredibly far behind you are, and the amount of work seems nothing less than insurmountable. By the time you arrive home and change out of your uncomfortable work clothes, the stress is weighing down on you like a heavy, wet wool blanket. Your computer seems to be staring at you, staring you down from your desk. You want to sit down and work, but the mere thought of trying to work sends your stress levels flying. More than anything, you feel suddenly and absolutely exhausted. You feel a strong desire to simply hide in bed. Okay, you're depressed. Interaction is exhausting, and you're becoming more and more withdrawn. You're not currently seeing a therapist. You're not currently taking medication for depression. Order some food, grab a drink, and hunker down for a night of work. That seems to be impossible. Reluctantly sit down at your desk and try to make yourself do something. Turn on the TV, telling yourself you just need a quick half hour to unwind from work. Crawl into bed. You're so stressed and overwhelmed you couldn't possibly accomplish anything anyways. If it was me, I would probably try to take a break. Netflix, 33%, loading. Just a half hour of TV, you tell yourself, absently grasping for the remote. It's not just gonna be an hour, huh? You don't so much sit down on the couch as sink into it. You turn on the TV and start going through your usual channel routine. After a few cycles of this, you realize that you're really not doing much more than thumb calisthenics and absently killing time. You check the clock and see that over 20 minutes have already passed since you sat down. As your self-imposed time limit creeps even nearer, you become more and more anxious. You stand up and walk to the fridge, telling yourself, I'll just make a quick sandwich and get to work after that. Can't be productive on an empty stomach, right? As you eat, you start pacing around your apartment, heading past your bedroom in the process. You stop in the doorway, as if physically unable to cross the threshold. Familiar waves of exhaustion start racking you, and you feel simultaneously tired and panicked. You close your door and head back to the couch. It's still early yet, you tell yourself. As long as I get to work in an hour, I'll have plenty of time to be productive. As you flip channels and let the CSI and Jeopardy reruns wash over you, you sink deeper into the couch, feeling at once encroached upon and shielded by being quite literally swallowed up by it. As the second hour draws nearer, sure enough, you find yourself getting anxious and jittery. You repeat the fridge-paced couch process a few more times before you look at the clock and realize that several hours have passed and, not surprisingly, you managed to get no work done. You crawl into bed, acutely aware of the fact that you have work in the morning, that any opportunity you had to catch up on your own creative endeavors today were squandered. You're feeling so disgusted with yourself that when Alex calls to talk to you on her way home from class, you simply said you had a really rough day at work and you're trying to rest up for your shift tomorrow. She says she understands and wishes you a good night, though you can't help but notice that she sounds slightly disappointed. Ironically, the stress of potentially upsetting your partner compounds with the stress of not having gotten anything done this evening and the stress of having to go into work tomorrow. The buzzing of anxiety in your brain melts together with your body's utter physical exhaustion, and you sink into a semi-hypnagogic anxious funk, too tired to try and work, but too anxious to fall asleep for several hours. Boy, I know that feeling. It's a mild Friday afternoon. Well, with the exception of the romantic partner, because I don't do that, but, It's a mild Friday afternoon. Alex calls you from one of her classes telling you that there's going to be a really awesome birthday party tonight at her apartment that one of her roommates is throwing. You hung out with this roommate a few times with Alex, and you've gotten along well enough, but aren't particularly close. You don't have work in the morning and have nothing else in particular to do tonight. You're feeling kind of run down, but you have been fatigued most of the time lately. You mentioned that you're feeling ill because you're not sure how else to explain these feelings to someone, and say that you aren't sure that you can make it tonight. There's a second of silence over your phone, but you can swear you hear the sound of your partner's face fall. She tries to convince you anyway. You haven't seen her this week, and she sounds pretty insistent that you come over. She even drops a few suggestively worded hints that you can stay over with them tonight after the party. What do? Go. Fucking just make yourself go. For me, the not wanting to disappoint people always bests the, oh no, I'm a burden, boo-hoo. I'm not trying to belittle that, because, I feel that all the time too, but you agree to go, even though you're not really feeling social. Never feeling social. You know it's important to Alex, and you really like to see her. Seeing her does make you feel better sometimes, and you hope that this is the case tonight, even if it does mean dealing with all the usual social anxiety. The time to leave rolls around, and you grab your overnight bag. Alex's apartment is a short walk away, and there are already people hanging out on the porch. She only lives a short walk away, but you only see her like once a week? What? You feel your chest tighten as you approach the building and try to steel your nerves. Well, I know that if I had a friend that lived Actually, wait, I do have a friend that lives down the block, and I don't visit him. Never mind. Don't listen to me. You quickly find your partner chatting away with the birthday girl, and Alex immediately lightens up when she sees you. I'm so happy you came. I wasn't sure if you were gonna make it. A young man taps on her shoulder, and she turns back to you to apologize and let you know they have to do something for the party. Alex hands you a beer and plants a kiss on your cheek before going off to deal with whatever came up. As you look around, you don't see anyone else you recognize. Awkwardly stand in the same spot, unsure of what to do. Put your bag in Alex's room and avoid the crowd in there for a while. Cling to the back wall, sip your beer, and wait for your girlfriend to return. Proceed to drink in earnest, hoping it makes you feel less uncomfortable. I like the idea of putting the bag in the room. Although I'd probably just wait for her to come back, because what if she came back and saw me and thought I left or something, you know? As Alex leaves, you are not quite sure what to do with yourself. Standing in the middle of the room leaves you feeling kind of exposed, and you don't feel ballsy enough to randomly approach any of the groups of people clustered together talking. You head to a clear spot on the back wall and lean against it. For some reason, this always feels a lot more secure. You scan the party for a familiar face or any sign of your partner and come up with nothing. Not sure what else to do, and worrying that you must look creepy just standing there watching everyone, you take out your phone to busy yourself. 20 semi-tedious games of Bejeweled Blitz later, your partner returns. You spend the rest of the night with Alex, occasionally being introduced to people and nodding along with group conversations, even if you don't participate that much. At the end of the night, as you're falling asleep with your girlfriend in the crook of your arm, she thanks you again for coming. Half drunk, she confides that she thought you were going to flake out and was pleasantly surprised that you managed to come out. She says it lovingly, but you're not quite sure how you feel about that statement. That sounds like something I would say lovingly to one of my friends. Honestly, I thought your depression would get to you, but I'm so glad you made it. Not thinking about how it makes them feel. I'm so mean. I should be nicer to my depressed friends. I'm depressed too, though, you know? It's a little afternoon on a muggy Saturday. Your mother has come over for a surprise visit, claiming loudly that she doesn't see you enough, so she's decided to invite herself over. As you converse, she walks around your place, and you get the distinct impression that you're being inspected. So what's going on with you lately? She asks abruptly. Oh. Oof. That's one of those really benign sentences, like, so, do you have a job? Do you have a boyfriend? Girlfriend? Are you doing anything? Are you in school? Can I ask you a question? That's one of those questions, like, one of those statements that, like, it should mean nothing. But sometimes it just gets you. So what's going on with you lately? She asks abruptly. Taken somewhat aback by this left fielder, you tell her you're not sure what she means. She repeats the question, saying that you haven't seemed like yourself lately. She gestures to the dirty dishes piled in the sink and notes the fact that you haven't called or visited in a while. Your reticence only seems to spur her on more. She presses you, asking if you're having problems at work or with Alex, and you're beginning to feel increasingly battered by her sudden, well-meaning, but overwhelming inquisition. Under her questions, you become increasingly uncomfortable. You want to be able to explain to her how you've been feeling, but the truth is you're not really sure yourself. Nothing horrific has happened at work or with your significant other or friends or anything like that, but all the same you can't deny that lately you've just felt drained and as though you're not really here. Taking a sip of my drink. You wish you could tell your mother these things, but she hasn't been approachable about negative emotions in the past. She's the kind of person who holds the opinion that the solution to any problem is to simply try harder and maintain a positive attitude, a stance that has reared its head in past conversations when you've begun to explore the subject with her. You know she's unlikely to be understanding, and you feel the energy drain out of you when you imagine what would happen if you managed to blurt out everything you were feeling. What do? Let her know that you've been feeling down lately and that you appreciate her concern. Not possible. Try to be honest with her anyway. Tell her that everything is fine, and thank her for asking. Change the subject. I'm tempted towards number 3 because it seems like that would get her to shut up. But I don't know. Sometimes it can be cathartic to just be like, actually, I feel fucking terrible. You attempt to tell your mother how you're feeling, despite initial misgivings that you have about doing so. Finding the right words for how you're feeling feels like trying to untangle Christmas lights, searching for the dead bulb in the cluttered mess. She watches you intently and audibly sighs before you can clearly articulate anything. Unfortunately, she reacts predictably. An attitude like that won't get you anywhere. You need to work harder at getting what you want instead of sitting around feeling sad about it. Nothing good will happen unless you make it happen. Lol, just be happy, duh. Lol, just don't get hit. She isn't angry or spiteful as she tells you this. You try to explain that it's not a matter of that, but that you can tell that you're not getting anywhere. The frustration chokes the words in your throat, and you give up on trying to push the subject further. You know she's giving you the advice that makes sense to her, and genuinely wants the best for you. However, she doesn't understand that it's not as simple as somehow deciding to be positive or work harder. It's that those things aren't viable options because of these feelings. You accept your defeat, and the conversation drifts on to other subjects. She leaves after chiding you to call her more often and take better care of yourself. You sigh heavily as you close the door behind her, and spend the next few hours laying in bed, staring at the ceiling. This chocolate atole came out really good, and it's finally cooled down enough to drink on. It is a lazy Sunday morning. You're idly clicking around online as your phone rings. Sam, a coworker of yours that you're friendly with, asks how you are and makes hurried small talk with you. You typically only ever talk to him on the phone when one of you needs a shift covered, so it's slightly awkward. You're waiting in anticipation for him to ask you to come in on short notice, when he veers the conversation in a completely different direction. How do you feel about cats? He asks. Mine had kittens a few weeks ago, and I'm having an awfully hard time finding a home for the last one of the litter. You don't have any pets, right? It takes you a moment to process this new information, and you're caught off guard. He begins to earnestly try to sell you on the idea of taking the last kitten off his hands. It's not something that you had specifically considered before, and he seems fairly insistent. She's a real sweetheart, really loves people. She's got all her shots already taken care of, and the vet says she's healthy as a horse. I can bring her over by your place tonight if you're interested. You look around your apartment and try to picture a cat in it as he continues to tell you about how cute she is. You tell him this is all kind of sudden, that you don't have anything for the kitten set up here. Oh, don't worry about that. I can bring over a litter box and food and all that since you'd really be helping me out of a fix. It's the least I can do. I just don't want to have to put her in a shelter. You can't help but feel like you're being guilt-tripped, but you decide to give it some serious consideration. It does get awfully lonely around your apartment, and it might feel less empty with a cat around. However, since you've been feeling so down, it might not be a good idea to take on the responsibility of a cat, even if they are fairly low maintenance. Okay, take the cat knowing full well that you can take great care of it, not possible. Decline even though you're totally capable of taking care of it, you're not much of a cat person, also not possible. So 3, become a cat owner, you could use the companionship. Decline, you're not in a good enough position to be taking on more responsibility right now. Decline, you don't like cats. I feel like a pet could help someone in this situation because they don't have more pets, so it's like one pet in an apartment. I don't know, let's see how it goes. If they already had pets and we're having trouble taking care of them, I'd be like, but it may help. And if it doesn't work out for them, then I'm hoping they can find someone else for it. You accept the offer of the kitten and hang up shortly after making arrangements for when your coworker can drop her off tonight. After hanging up, you worry about if you've suddenly taken on a responsibility that you can't handle and hoping that you don't make a small animal suffer for it. You're not entirely sure what to expect, and you spend the rest of the afternoon researching cat care online and trying to think of a name. The evening rolls around you, and you hear a knock at your door, startling you out of reading Wikipedia entirely too hard. You take possession of a small, terrified black and white kitten in a carrier, along with everything you need to start taking care of her. You take her into your bedroom, close the door, and open the door of the carrier excitedly. She cowers in the back of it, and you back off. Feeling slightly defeated, you remember that you researched on introducing kittens to a new home, and leave her alone to go mess around in your computer, hopefully checking over your shoulder every so often to see if she's come out yet. She hides inside her carrier, periodically making sorrowful cat howls long enough for you to start worrying that she already doesn't like you. By the time you go to bed, she's curled up at the foot of it, eyeing you nervously before falling asleep. Over the next few days, you gain her trust, and she begins affectionately following you around, sleeping on you, and hopping on you every time you sit down to do some work. A sweet baby. It's late Friday afternoon, and quitting time is just around the corner. A bright, clear day is giving way to a still, temperate evening. You can hear your coworkers all around you anxiously making plans for their evenings and weekends, but you're really looking forward to just going home and resting after what's turned out to be a very long and taxing work week. Just before the end of your shift, you get a call from Alex. It seems a group of your mutual friends are heading out to a nearby pub for dinner and drinks to celebrate the end of the week, and they want to know if you'd like to come along. You tentatively tell her that you're emotionally exhausted from the work week, and a social outing like that would just take too much out of you today. You encourage her to go and have a good time, since you know it's been a while since you've gone out with friends, but the effort feels futile since you know she isn't going to go without you. A couple hours later, the two of you find yourselves in a familiar position. On the couch, watching comedy shows on Netflix, a box of pizza open on the coffee table in front of you. As you look across the couch at her, you start to feel anxious. You feel bad about effectively forcing the two of you to stay in tonight, again. While you're always appreciative of your partner's efforts to take your feelings into account, help make sure you're socially comfortable, you sincerely worry that you're holding her back from enjoying a more fulfilling relationship. While she does seem to enjoy spending time with you, as the two of you sit in comfortable, almost contented silence, watching old shows you've each seen 2 or 3 times before, your ever-increasing fear that your relationship is becoming one-sided weighs more and more heavily on you. You'll feel more than ever like a burden or a ward to her, that it's virtually impossible for you to see what value you could possibly offer to her in return. Worst of all, this nagging fear has made you feel more self-conscious than ever, withdrawing ever inwards, and you've started to pull away even from Alex herself. What do you do? Of the not possible options we have, despite the bad times, your girlfriend sincerely loves you. Relationships are a two-way street. You'd resolve to always be there for her like she always has for you. Tell Alex how important she is to you and enjoy your evening. For some reason, we can't do those things. Ask Alex if she's happy with your relationship. Don't say anything, you're already worried about her being upset with you. The realistic option is 4. The difficult option is 3. That's stressing me out just thinking about it. I don't even do romance. I'm gonna go for the scary option. You look over at Alex, who hasn't noticed you watching her yet, and you try to parse the expression on her face. You worry that it's one of sheer boredom and bare tolerance. You wonder if she's thinking about all of the fun things she could be doing tonight if she wasn't trapped on this couch with you, ordering from one of the same 3 takeout places that you always order from. A sense of disappointing her creeps over you as you picture what the night could have been if you just accepted the invitation she had made earlier. I know this is a pretty boring Friday night for you. Are you really happy being with me, being like this? She turns to look at you, forehead wrinkled. Why do you ask me that so often? You feel her body stiffen and pull away from yours a little. Well, I mean, you start, but are unable to try and think of how to answer. It's probably silly, but it's reassuring when I hear that we're on the same page. I want to make sure I'm right for you. I know it's not what you'd usually be up to. I don't know, I guess just kind of worry that you're getting bored sometimes. Never mind. Ooh. 4? Alex sighs. Look, if that were the case, I would let you know. I don't think you're boring. You're more of a homebody than I am. I'm learning how to deal with that. Deal with it, you think, repeating it in your mind. Does she see it as a problem to be dealt with? You try to pick her reply apart in your head, and all of your conclusions lead to your previous worry that you're holding her back. You begin thinking that the phrasing was chosen without too much deliberation, and that despite her attempts at reassuring you, the slip of the tongue revealed her true feelings. Of course, overthinking and turning everything in on yourself is just how it goes. As you picture how much fun she would be having right now if you had only accepted her invitation and managed to somehow get over your reservations and anxieties despite not knowing how you would go about that, she cuddles back up to you. Thanks for putting up with me, you say, staring at the TV without actually watching it. She sighs in response. Yeah, I know how both of them feel right now. It is a breezy Sunday afternoon. You're allowed Amanda... Coffee. You allowed Amanda, an old friend from school that is in town for the weekend, to talk you into leaving the house for a coffee and catch up. You meet her in a small cafe and talk about what you've been up to since the last time you've seen each other, and you can't help but feel like they're a lot more accomplished and interesting than you are, listening to them talk about their life after school. When it's your turn to brief them on your activities, you feel anxious and ashamed to give a very abbreviated version. You try to talk about your job as little as possible, and you feel incredibly boring when you describe it, despite her expressing sincere interest in you and your life. Amanda has known you long enough to read your mood and tone of voice. She leans in to ask a question while gently touching your hand, a look of genuine concern on her face. What's wrong? That's another one that she'll like. It's just someone asking you how you're feeling, but then there's like, what's wrong? And you're like, oh god, they've noticed something wrong. Everyone knows. Ah. Do you suggest a change of location and confide in her honestly? Test the waters and open up a little, hoping she'll understand. Insist that nothing is wrong and change the subject. Defensively ask what she means by that. Notice that your hands are shaking. Hmm. Hmm. That would probably be what she noticed. Such a small question, but it feels like a blow to the gut. Exactly! You surprise yourself when you realize that your tightly clenched fists are now beginning to shake slightly. Despite your best efforts, you feel tears begin to sting at your eyes. You try to disguise this by tilting your head up and praying that they'll suck back in. She suggests that you two get out of here, and you feel mortified. She offers to go back to your apartment with you, but the two of you end up talking in her car for 2 hours as the words just pour forth from you. Amanda seems unsure of what to say at times, but she listens and rubs your back as you sob and talk. She asks if you've gone to a doctor about this, and you admit that you haven't. She mentions that her mother is seeing a very good therapist in town and offers to ask her about it. You're not thrilled about the idea of going to a therapist, even less thrilled that Amanda might be telling someone about your problems, but she persists and tells you that she'll email you the doctor's contact information later in the week. Amanda's a good pal. It's a glaringly sunny Monday, and one of the few days that your brother Malcolm is in town and free long enough for you to actually see each other. You have a dental appointment that day, but you make plans for him to pick you up afterward. Am I gonna be like super high? Your appointment takes a little longer than expected because your dentist tells you that you've started grinding your teeth in your sleep to a worrying degree. Given how nearly everything in your life has been feeling enormous and stressful lately, this doesn't come as a surprise to you. He suggests that you try to reduce your stress levels and fits you for a night guard. It feels awkward and too big for your mouth, and you feel embarrassed looking at your puffed out face in the mirror with it. You finish up the appointment in a hurry and leave about half an hour overdue for meeting your always punctual brother in the parking lot. You finish up as quickly as possible and leave the building to scan the parking lot for your brother's car, but you don't see his old Civic anywhere. You pass by a blue Camaro and jump as it beeps at you, causing you to jump in surprise. That part needed a bit of... You pass by a blue Camaro, and it beeps at you, causing you to jump in surprise. It takes you a moment for it to realize. It makes a moment for you to realize it, but it's Malcolm in the driver's seat. You hop in the passenger seat and compliment him on his new ride, and he mentions that it's a perk of a promotion he recently obtained at work. He starts telling you about how much more money he's making, how his career is really taking off, and how he's starting to look at houses with his wife soon. You clutch the bag containing the night guard in your hand, and you feel yourself clench your teeth as you think of your crummy apartment, how long it's been since you've been able to take a day off work without having to worry about making ends meet. He's only 2 years older than you, but it feels like he's eons ahead of you in every other aspect of your lives. So, he asks, how did your appointment go? Did you get drilled full of holes or what? A sense of shame creeps over you. Be happy for him. Laugh about your dorky night guard with your brother. I wish I could. Tell him about the night guard and why you need it. Lie. Tell him it was a routine cleaning. Tell him about your tooth grinding problem, but not the stress causing it. I wish I could tell him about the night guard. Even if I'm miserable, I mean, that's what I would do. Be like, look at this funny thing I had to get. Har har har. It would also work as a distraction for not having to talk about things, but like, meh. The dentist said I'm apparently grinding my teeth too much when I sleep. Oh, Malcolm replies, been stressed out lately, kiddo? Deciding that you don't really want to go into it, you tell him that you don't think that's the case and it's probably just a random thing. He doesn't pry farther and instead begins reminiscing with you about the time you chipped a baby tooth because he accidentally knocked you over once. You go out for dinner and catch up on things, but you still feel somewhat distracted by the gnawing anxiety in the back of your mind. Though you enjoy your brother's company, you still feel like you want nothing more than to go home and hide from the world tonight. It becomes hard for you to try to stuff all of your horrible feelings down and go emotionless when someone like the dentist can see a fraction of what goes on inside your head. It leaves you feeling embarrassed and weak, and you hate yourself for feeling that way. You wonder if you're really fooling anyone into thinking you're a normal person, and then you wonder if your brother knows and is hanging out with you at a petty tonight. After he drops you back off at your apartment, you throw the night guard out. Can't stand to even look at the thing. But you probably paid money for that. Pull that out of the trash right now. It's a dry Sunday morning. take the night guard out of the trash, clean it off, and put it in your mouth. If your teeth get ground down, that could cause serious nerve problems, and also everyone will be able to tell. Come on. Ugh. Sorry, I don't like it when characters like waste things. It's a dry Sunday morning. You grab your morning coffee and scoot your rapidly growing kitten off your office chair, and despite her protest, sit down at your desk and check your email. A new message pops up in your inbox almost as soon as you do. It's from Amanda, and you remember your meeting in the cafe and awkwardly bringing up your feelings to her. Subject: Hey, buddy. Body. Hey, sorry, it's been a few weeks. I meant to give this to you sooner, but it took a while for me to get a hold of my folks back home. Dad told me to say hi, by the way. Anyway, I remembered what we talked about last time I saw you, and I hope you aren't insulted, but I asked my mom for the number for her therapist. Don't worry, I didn't tell her who it was for. I think she's worried about me, though, now. Anyway, the number is 647-723-5274. I wonder if it's like the International Suicide Prevention Line or something. Because usually they don't put full numbers in games, but I could look it up later. It's a really good office. You should look into it. Talking to someone never hurts. If you're worried about money, don't be. They're one of the few that has a really good sliding scale fee system and won't charge you what you can't afford. I hope you're feeling better. It was really nice to see you again. Signed, A. It's still early enough that you could call and make an appointment today. Your kitten curls up in your lap as you consider what to do. Call the therapist number. You're looking forward to the help you think they can offer. Try your luck and call the number, even though the mere thought of talking to someone makes you anxious. She cared enough to send it to you after all. Oh man, that's the one I would go to, but I can't do it. Sleep on it and see how you're feeling in the morning. You're not keen on the idea at all, but you don't want to disappoint Amanda. Close the email without thinking more of it. This is embarrassing enough already. No, it's not. Yeah, it's embarrassing, but Amanda went through all that trouble for you. The thought of picking up the phone and calling someone about this right now is overwhelming. Sure, you're having a hard time lately and have motivation issues, but are you really in need of therapy? You are. You are a character in this game. Shouldn't you be able to just get over it yourself? What if they put you on medication that makes you feel like a zombie? What if you go and the therapist looks down on you? What will Alex think about this? Trying to think about all these things at once makes it feel like a very big deal, and you decide to take your time to think on it. The rest of the day passes quickly, and that night you have a hard time trying to sleep because your brain is too busy thinking about all these things, and imagining all the ways it could go horribly wrong. The next morning you check your email again with blurry eyes and a mewing kitten. Amanda's email is still there, seemingly waiting for you. You were no more decided than you were yesterday. What now? Just call already, it can't hurt to check. Call out after wrestling with her for a few minutes longer. Don't call, this is way too much than you're able to deal with right now. You need help? You read through Amanda's email 2 to 3 times and then sit there and stare at your computer for a while. While the memory of that uncomfortable conversation makes you feel newly embarrassed and self-conscious, part of you is also encouraged by the fact that she cared enough to get back to you at all. I mean, she went through all that trouble. I'd feel even worse if I just didn't even fucking try. Sit in front of your computer, you start to question things like whether or not Amanda sent you this number out of pity or perhaps some sort of sense of obligation after having listened to you. You question her motives and the validity of her concern, and whether or not you think seeing a therapist would even be helpful. Yet almost unconsciously, you reach for your phone, and before you realize what's happening, you're listening to the therapist's line ring. Before you can bring yourself to hang up, you're listening to the slightly clinical but not unpleasant voice of the receptionist asking how she can help you. I'd like to make an appointment with the doctor. He managed to stammer out. The conversation is quick and not nearly as unpleasant as you were fearing, but quicker than you can say Freudian slip. You've scheduled your appointment. Quicker than you realize appointment day rolls around. What do? Go to the therapist's office. Head to the therapist's office, even though you're totally unsure of what to expect. Sit in your car terrified and try to talk yourself into or out of going. Just the thought of going to your appointment ties your stomach in knots. You crawl back into bed. Bro, what if they charge a late fee for not going to the appointment? I mean, she said they work on a sliding scale, but usually places like that help a lot of people, so you don't want to, cut in on someone else's time. Come on. But still, I personally get stressed about therapists, because talk therapy does not work for me, so You sit in the driver's seat of your car for several minutes trying to decide what to do. You think of all the help that this could allegedly offer you, and worry desperately about disappointing Amanda if you don't go. Yet at the same time, the utter fear of having to talk to a complete stranger about these things is paralyzing. You worry about sounding whiny and melodramatic, or that the therapist will be mean, or that she won't understand what you're trying to say. You worry that people will find out and that you'll be seen as defective somehow. Well, they can't tell people about your condition because of the privacy laws, HIPAA, and all that. You sit in the driver's seat of your car for several minutes trying to decide what to do. While you're terrified of seeming melodramatic or defective more than anything else, you're terrified of disappointing Amanda and not going. Well, you still aren't sure if your concern is genuine or not. She still took time out to send you this information, and the thought of her accepting disappointment, the look on her sad but knowing face that you've seen in too many others before, is itself motivation enough for you. Start your car and drive to the therapist's office. You have your first session with your new therapist, Dr. Susan Melville, a tall woman in her mid-40s with a disarming demeanor and patient eyes with the start of the slightest smile lines. She makes you feel comfortable fairly easily, which is a pleasant surprise after all your anxiety over the appointment. As you leave, you make a second appointment. You're still skeptical about all of this, but you figure you might as well see where this goes. The hardest part, it seems, was taking the first step. You're still not sure if and how you're going to tell your family or your partner, but you figure you'll deal with that when the time comes. Either way, you feel relieved that you managed to see this through, instead of being paralyzed with worry over it. Even if nothing comes of it, you did something you said you would instead of flaking out or running away. You're emotionally exhausted when you get home and collapse into bed. You sleep better than you might have, and sleep better that night than you have in a week, and you're not sure if it's because you were so tired when you got home or if it's because of the therapist. Oh, now I'm already wondering, like, are they gonna get worried, or is Alex gonna act in a way that, like, what if she says, oh, like, I can't get you to go, like, I don't know if Alex has ever tried to get this character to go to a therapist or not, or if she was just trying to, let them make that decision on their own. So, like, what if, like, if Alex has tried to make them go to a therapist before and then never listened to her but listened to some random person from school, is she going to be like, oh, so you don't value my opinion? Or is, like, did she just never, I don't know, let's see how it goes. It is early on a Wednesday morning. Lately, you've developed a nasty habit of waking up 10 to 20 minutes before your alarm rings, and unfortunately, today is no exception. I hate it when that happens. You lay in bed, each minute ticking closer and closer to wake up time and passing on a swelling wave of ever-encroaching dread. Sooner than you would like, your alarm blares with caustic inevitability. You frantically pound the snooze button and then retreat under your blankets as if the warmth of your comforter can shield you from the passage of time. You almost always have difficulty rising from bed, but today that simple task seems nothing short of Herculean. After several snooze cycles, you decide that you just can't deal with work today. You're incapable of even rousing yourself from bed, let alone going into work and having to force yourself through a work day. Not to mention you've snoozed so many times that it would be impossible to make it on time now anyways. What do? Hop out of bed and start getting ready for work. You'll be late, but it's better than not going in at all. Head to work. At least you can leave early if it gets too unbearable. Call your boss and tell him you're sick and won't be in today. How many sick days do I have? What? I can't remember what country this game was in, but is it like, will I be wasting a sick day for this? Is this just that, that extra morning depression spiral, and the day is not going to be as bad as I think it will be? In spite of the fact that your body is actively fighting you literally every step of the way, you somehow manage to drag yourself out of bed and make your way into work. Surprisingly, you end up only being about 5 minutes late. Nobody seems to notice or care. Though when you woke up, the simple act of even being physically present at your job seemed like an impossibility, you're surprised at your own ability to push on through the day. While you're far from enjoying or even coping with the dullness of your job today, you seem to have slipped into a trance-like state of automation, and time is nevertheless passing. Eventually, the end of the day rolls around and you head home, utterly exhausted, but at the same time, almost proud of yourself for having stuck it out. Sometimes that's how it is. It's not absolutely horrible, it's just tedious. Let me take another sip of my Tolate. I think my dog wants to. Saley, do you want to go outside? Do you want to go outside, dog? Do you want to go outside, little dog? Oh, you just want belly rubs and attention, huh? Okay. Well, I can belly rubs and read about a depressed person at the same time. It's 2 a.m. on a Sunday, and you have work in the morning. You roll over to see the sickly green glow of the time displayed on your LED alarm clock and let out an exasperated sigh. You've been trying to fall asleep for over 3 hours now to no avail. Every time your head hits the pillow, you're overcome with anxious thoughts that wrap themselves around each other. Worries about your job leads to worries about your future, leads to worries about your very identity, and you're unable to shake them off long enough to doze off. Your eyes won't even stay shut as your mind races through imagined scenarios going horribly wrong, which you promptly attribute to your general worthlessness. Your thoughts run too fast for you to come to a satisfying conclusion on any one of them. Your room is completely silent, but the silence is given way to a loud static noise rattling around inside your head. Your heart beats loudly, and you worry it's beating a little too fast. You worry that if you focus too strongly on your racing heart, you'll freak yourself out hard enough that you'll have a heart attack. You have to be awake for work in a mere 8 hours, and you know that your work is so much worse on only a few hours of sleep. What do? Force yourself to sleep, go to bed. It shouldn't be that hard. Just close your eyes and let it happen. Why won't your thoughts back off for 5 seconds? Snap out of it. What is wrong with you? Why can't you stop stressing out for 5 seconds? You're probably going to work tomorrow exhausted and fuck everything up and get tired. Go to your computer. Sleep is clearly not happening, no matter how long you lay here. Honestly, yeah, that's what I do. I don't understand people who just, fall asleep on command. It's so I don't understand people who can take naps. I'm gonna take a 30-minute nap, and then they do, and then they wake up, and they say they feel better. If I try to take a nap in the middle of the day, it's usually because I'm already super tired, and I pass out involuntarily, and then I wake up, at night. It messes up my whole sleep schedule. You get out of bed and head to your desk. Laying in bed with nothing but your thoughts to keep you company makes you feel like you're going insane. The harshness of the light coming from the screen makes you squint as you turn it on, despite how you often find yourself in this exact situation. There have been so many nights lately just like this. As you begin to read a news story, an online friend of yours IMs you. Attic, you're up late again, I see. Yeah, can't sleep. Again. Thinking too much again? Thinking. You guessed it. Want to talk about it? You end up talking with Attic for quite some time about how you've been feeling. He's always been easy to talk to about personal matters, and the added security of talking online helps. Being able to rethink what you say as you type it out and check it before you send it helps you gather your thoughts, and you find it less intimidating in a way to type out into the prompt than to say it out loud. Exactly, that's why I like typing, because words are hard to, words are hard to put into sentences when you're just doing them on the fly, but when you're typing, you have time to see the words and go, no, that's not what I want to say, and go back. I don't want to be that guy who thinks they can diagnose something because they read a Wikipedia article, but it kind of sounds like you might have depression. You should talk to someone about that, like a doctor. You pause. Are you really that You're incredibly transparent. You're so depressed. Or is it that you've gotten used to talking about your feelings at this point? Your insomnia makes you a little paranoid, but you shake it off. We can do some research and see if there's a good doctor near you. It's not like you're going back to sleep anytime soon anyway. Might as well do something while you're awake. It's just a low night. I'm normally able to sleep, and I don't have depression, but thank you for your concern. No, that's okay, or I have talked to someone about it. Oh, okay, I'm glad you're taking that step. I know it's not an easy one. I know people kind of suck at understanding this sort of stuff sometimes. But there's nothing wrong with having depression. You wouldn't be ashamed to have bronchitis or something, so there's no reason to be ashamed if it's your brain that's sick instead. I feel like Attic has also had depression, or maybe also does, or knows people with it. Attic is a good pal. You spend a few more minutes talking with Attic about your therapy and your feelings about it. He's incredibly supportive, and you're happy to find that you have a confidant that understands your illness and is willing to lend an ear when you're having nights like this. A little while later, you fall back into bed, kitten in tow, and find it easier to drift off to sleep. Even in therapy, you know you're still going to have nights like these sometimes. It's good to know you have a friend who will help carry you through them. It's a chilly Thursday night and you've just gotten off work. This has felt like one of the longest days you've faced in recent memory, even though nothing exceptional had happened. A ton of minor things kept going wrong, and coworkers have tried your patience throughout the day. You considered leaving work early, but the last thing you wanted to do was deal with your insufferable boss on top of everything else. You're lost in thought on the commute home, and your feelings of frustration, both with your life and the world around you, build as you run into minor annoyances like someone bumping into you really hard as they walk by. By the time you get home, you're exhausted, and remember that these feelings were the ones you identified as a negative feedback loop with your therapist. These pent up feelings aren't dying down and are eating at you. You open your front door and stare at your apartment. An overwhelming feeling of exhaustion overcomes you, and you feel like your energy levels are low enough that you'll likely settle into a single activity tonight. What will you do? Just shake it off your bad mood and do something fun for the rest of the evening. Reach out to someone close to you. Don't burden anyone with your problems. Distract yourself. Okay, well, 3 is the more realistic one. I feel like 2 would be better for the character in this game. I'm gonna go for the realistic option this one time. What you really want more than anything is to turn your brain off and just disappear for a while. You sink resignedly into your couch and start playing video games, but you can't seem to focus on what's happening on screen. You cycle through a few different games, but tonight everything seems either too tedious or too aggravating for you to play for more than a few minutes. I know that feeling. A few of your online friends invite you to play a game with them, but the prospect of having to talk, let alone cooperate with other people, seems incredibly unpleasant. You decide to give the video games a rest for the evening, though you worry that you've offended your online friends and your next conversation will be awkward because of it, giving you yet another source of stress to weigh you down on you tonight. You boot up Netflix and cycle through some of your favorite shows and movies that you'd flagged as wanting to come back to. Nothing seems to be able to hold your attention. You feel that what can only be described as mentally fidgety, like there's an unscratchable itch somewhere on your brain that is becoming increasingly hard to ignore. You send off a quick text to Alex, hoping that the conversation will help pull you out of your head enough to relax, but you know that she's in class tonight and the chances of her replying are slim. You head into the kitchen for food and come out with not so much a sandwich as just peanut butter on 2 slices of bread. You pace anxiously around your apartment while you eat, irritated by both whatever this nerve-wracking feeling is and by your ability to just ignore it and unwind. After a few more sandwiches and an overly long shower, you're finally able to settle down enough to head off to bed. It is an utterly nondescript Wednesday afternoon, the type of afternoon that would completely fade from memory unless one made an active effort to preserve it. As has become routine on Wednesdays, you are sitting on the couch in Dr. Melville's office. To your surprise, she begins the session by breaking her characteristic therapist silence and begins speaking up right away. I wanted to start by saying I think it's great that you decided to come see me. It's an incredibly important first step, she begins. I wanted to take some time today to talk to you about the possibility of supplementing or substituting your treatment with medication. The mention of medication makes your ears perk up and you feel your heart rate increasing. She continues, many people find adding a pharmacological element to their treatment to be very helpful, and some even prefer to take drugs, completely eliminating their visit for a therapist at all, providing you rely on your support network and are still reaching out to people. I would prefer it if we kept talking should you choose to start medication so that I can monitor your progress and adjust as needed, but the choice is ultimately yours. I just wanted to run the option by you to gauge what your thoughts on the matter might be. Dr. Melville has just given you a lot to think about. What do? Go for the meds. If you go for citalopram, it can make you very nauseous if you're adding it to existing medications. However, it can work. Accept the prescription as a way to augment your therapy. Tell her you'd like to try drugs instead of therapy. These weekly sessions have always made you a little uncomfortable. The thought of messing with your brain chemicals makes you uneasy. You'll stick with the therapy. This whole therapy thing has always overwhelmed you, and since the final straw, you're done with both. Go for the drugs. You think the matter over long and hard. It's strange to think that recently none of this sort of thing was even on your radar, and here you are now being asked to make a decision about it. You're both skeptical and nervous, still getting over the initial shock of even just talking to a therapist. Still, over the years, you've done enough entry-level reading on the subject to know that if it doesn't help, it at least probably won't hurt, right? After an intense and protracted period of internal vacillation, you decide to bite the bullet and go for it. You tell Dr. Melville that you'd like to try medication in addition to your therapy and that you spend about half an hour going over what you'll be taking, and what you should expect from it. Thinking back on the decision later, you're pretty sure you had your fist tightly clenched the whole way through. Huh? It froze. You okay? There you go. It's a Wednesday evening, and you're visiting at your parents' house for a holiday. It's one of the handful of times during the year you drive out to visit your hometown, and you see random people you had gone to school with around town. Whenever bumping into them, the usual short versions of what you've done since graduating are exchanged. You've gone through a few of these today and are very aware of how much you feel you haven't accomplished. When you were in high school, you had much larger plans, and you feel like you failed to manifest most of them. Even if you managed to, you've largely lost interest in what you thought you wanted to do growing up. Now you're not really sure what you want to do, and you feel like you're lacking the ambition or drive to figure it out. Everyone you've caught up with seems so much happier than you, like they've got their lives all figured out, and you've kind of been feeling like a failure by comparison. Your brother Malcolm arrives with his wife in tow shortly before you all sit down to dinner. He's been traveling for his job lately, and you haven't seen him since the day he picked you up from the dentist. Your parents haven't seen him since before then. During dinner, they all catch up, and Malcolm talks about the amazing things he's done on the road. Your mother turns to you and asks what you've been up to since you've seen them last. Oh, same old, you say. Nothing really new going on. Your mother makes a face. Oh, nothing new? How long are you planning on staying at that job of yours? What do you say? Well, if I'm making a living at it, then, it could be risky going for a new job, especially in this person's condition. Lie. Tell them what they want to hear, that you're actively looking for a more prestigious position. Admit that you don't know what you want to do. Excuse yourself to the bathroom. I kind of want to go for the lie. Hold on, my dog wants to be let outside. Just a second. Hold on, Saley. Left the door open for my dog. Now let me take a sip of my drink. I'm not used to this much talking. Maybe if I lie, then Malcolm can get me an in somewhere. Like, oh, I'm looking for a better job, something more fancy, and then Malcolm's gonna be like, hey, little sibling, I got you. Oh, I'm asking for a raise soon, you mumble, shopping around for a better position, too. Your mom lights up. Oh, that's great, honey. They'd be crazy not to give it to you. Conversation turns to other subjects as you stare at your plate. You hate lying to them, but you honestly feel like your parents don't even know you sometimes. Every time you have tested the waters in the past, you come away from it feeling like you can't get through to them, like you're speaking a different language. Trying to fight through that takes so much effort, and never feels like it even works, and you just don't have the energy for it right now. Even though you spend the rest of the night surrounded by your family, you feel like an alien. You retreat into your thoughts and get very quiet for the remainder of the night. As you're leaving, Malcolm takes you aside and gives you a big hug. Don't let Mom get to you, okay? I love you, kiddo. Okay, Malcolm knows what's up. It's a rainy night. You're hurrying through the rain to Alex's apartment at her behest. Though your pace is quick, the rain is steadily soaking up your pant legs as you traverse the town, and it's darkening your already poor mood. The call came while you were at home after a day of dealing with abnormally frustrating people. You had spent the afternoon trying to unwind and get some work on your project done. Alex called and interrupted one of your try to make progress, get frustrated at not making progress, have a harder time making progress due to frustration repeat loops, and you haven't fully shaken off the feelings of being annoyed with yourself from it yet. You knock on her door, and on the third knock, hear a voice call from further in the apartment to come on in. As you cross the threshold, dripping rainwater all the way, you notice that the lights are turned down very low in the apartment. You squint to navigate it as you clutch onto your damp umbrella, but end up hitting your shit on a side table, mumbling a profanity under your breath. You barely make out Alex emerging from the hallway, clad in what looks to be a robe with the bare skin of her legs peering out underneath. Why don't you come in and warm up? She asks in her designated, slightly cheesy, sexy voice. After a beat of silence, she states more naturally, my roommates are out of town this weekend, so I thought it might be nice to have a little fun while they're away. You appreciate her affection, but you're too wrapped up in your own negative feedback loops to be in the mood right now. What do you do? Let go of your stress and be intimate with your girlfriend. Try to unwind with her before getting physical. Suggest you do something else instead. Tell her you're not in the mood. Maybe if you two chill out first, then you can have some fun. You look at her standing, barely lit, and notice there's a few candles scattered around the apartment. It occurs to you that she has tried to make this night special for the two of you, even though you have the tight knot of antisocial frustration in your stomach. Seeing how much she cares makes you want to try to melt it away so you can show her how much you care that she's gone through all this trouble. However, you desperately need to shift gears before that's even possible. You look amazing. Let's have a drink together, you suggest, hoping that this will give you the push you need to get into the mood. You go into the kitchen and pour the two of you drinks, trying to focus on letting go of your bad mood. You sit down on the couch next to her, and she cuddles up to you instantly. What should we toast to? She asks as she takes her drink. You think for a moment, passing up the cheesy to us option, you'd say what's on your mind, letting go of your bad day. To tonight. The two of you cheers and you ask her about her day. Conversation turns flirtatious, and the two of you find yourselves in the bedroom shortly after. You find that you're having trouble getting into things physically with her, and remember that diminished arousal was a possible side effect of your medication. You'd hope that you were a part of the population that wouldn't be affected by it, but it seems as though this was not the case. However, you're still able to enjoy the closeness with Alex and fall asleep together happily. Hoping that it will work, but you aren't optimistic and worried about the side effects. You're seeing a therapist even though you doubt anything she says can make you feel better. Well, I hope at least Alex got off. I don't know. Maybe you got some oxytocin out of it? It's an early winter evening, and even though it's not particularly late, the time of year has lent the sky an almost prematurely darkened cast. Day after day, just like today, you trudge home from a job you have increasingly come to hate. On this day, your job misery seems to have reached critical mass, and not even shedding your rain-laden and uncomfortable work clothes helps you to unwind from your workday. You collapse into your couch, blank and numb. While your job always seemed to be just an unpleasant reality of existence, it was a position you sort of fell into unexpectedly, never intending to work there long term, and it's getting harder and harder to keep it up. Well, it's certainly not your dream job. You've always just sort of stuck it out out of necessity before, but it's becoming increasingly difficult to do that you couldn't even begin to imagine what else you could do. You find yourself face to face with a question you just can't ignore. Is your complacency worth the price of this level of misery? What do? Get proactive, polish off your resume, and start looking for other jobs to send feelers out to. Try and at least be productive by focusing your efforts on your project tonight. Aimlessly look through classifieds for another job. Turn on the TV and let your mind go blank. How about you work on your hobby? You sit down at your computer to blow off some steam, but are surprised to find your thoughts drifting to your long-neglected project. You talk yourself into opening it up and take a look for the first time in what must be weeks. For whatever reason, your anger that you've been feeling towards your day job seems to have converted to pure passion. You seem to be overflowing with ideas tonight. It's as if you got a buildup of ideas that just haven't gotten out, and now you're in the zone. While you don't get an unnatural amount of work done, you do work for a solid couple of hours, and it feels really great. What's more, you share some of the stuff across your social media networks, and you receive quite a bit of positive feedback, which makes you feel great. When you go to bed that night, you tell yourself that your job may suck, but at least you've got something you really care about, that you can put effort into and feel really good about yourself. In fact, as you're falling asleep, you could barely even remember your workday. How the fuck am I gonna do this? It's a little past 8 p.m. on a Tuesday night. You're at your computer, frustration levels peaked, rubbing your eyes and sighing heavily. You're working on a project from your job that has stretched you to wit's end, trying to meet a looming deadline, and as it lurks closer and closer, you're seriously doubting your ability to get it done. You're dragging your feet a little at work due to your complete lack of energy lately, in spite of wanting to do a good job. You find yourself unable to push past it and feel horribly useless for it. You slide your hands off your face to look at your screen as it beeps at you. Let me plug in my laptop. Hey, you there? I really need to talk to someone about something. You feel like you're getting nowhere with your current task and could probably use a break. However, you know that you have a history of getting distracted and then losing motivation to pick something up again afterward. Oh my god, ain't that a fucking mood. What do? Multitask. Tell Attic you're busy. Try to get again your focus. Don't answer your friend. You feel like you've hit a brick wall with your task, so why not try to take a break to help out a friend? You, hey, what's up? Oh, good, you're there. I just found out I got cheated on. I don't know what to do. Oh no, that's horrible. The two of you talk for a long time, and you lend a shoulder to your friend. You give him space to rant, to cry, to most importantly be able to voice his inner turmoil. You give him your full attention and talk him through what his options are for what he does next. You keep him from doing something rash, and the two of you decide it's best for him to sleep on it before doing anything. Exhausted, he departs for bed and thanks you for being there to talk with him. As you close the IM window, you feel horribly sorry for your friend, but happy that you were able to help. It serves as a tangible reminder to you that you're capable of being useful to someone instead of solely being a mess that needs everyone's help. You boot up your work project and find that you're suddenly able to get some solid progress done on it that night. It's a sunny Sunday afternoon. You're in deep thought on the way home from therapy. However, you notice this time that you're not in the same negative feedback loops you usually get trapped in when being this introspective. You realize that, although you still have your bad days, your lows aren't quite as low as they used to be. It sounds like there's talking in the back of the music. Okay. It's a little ghost of Ratman, kinda creepy, but okay. Your antidepressants bottle rolls across your dashboard as you take a left turn. You've been on this medication for quite a while now, over a period of trying a few different kinds. Though you still have minor side effects, they've overall become an unnoticed part of your life. You feel as if your life has generally changed for the better recently, and begin to wonder if you need them anymore. You don't feel as much despair or hopelessness, and you hate yourself a lot less these days. Maybe it's time to stop taking these, you think? I seem to not really keep taking them. The reason you feel better is because you're on them. If you drop them, especially with certain medications, you will spiral right the fuck back down. It is not nice. You have the realization that you can't be sure if it's a general life change that's making you feel better, or if it's just a sign that the medication is working. You decide against discontinuing your meds. It's not really a lesson you like to learn the hard way. It's not. And the side effects of this particular kind are negligible. The next time you see Dr. Melville, you tell her about this. She informs you that this is a common train of thought that people who have begun using medication to help them manage their depression experience. And you've managed to dodge a bullet because it generally ends poorly. She also asks you to talk to her first before making any decisions about your medication in the future. You're moderately depressed. You find it hard to focus on anything because you get physically and mentally exhausted very quickly. You're in therapy with a good counselor. You're doing cognitive behavioral therapy techniques, and they're starting to help. Your medication is helping to take the edge off and keep some of the darker and more negative feedback loops from being as prevalent. It's yet another sleepless Thursday night. You're at Alex's apartment, wide awake in bed, as she's sleeping peacefully beside you. She fell asleep hours ago, and you've been laying there unable to shut your brain up long enough to fall asleep. You've added the feelings of insecurity about your relationship to the rest of the noise in your head, keeping you up at night. It was a kind of a tense night between the two of you. You arrived after a successful day at work, and as you made dinner together, you barely said a word. You were stuck in your own head and had a hard time really being present with her as your thoughts turned to all of the ways you feel like you're deficient at being a good person and beating yourself up mentally for each one. She told you she could tell you were in one of your moods and said that she wouldn't push you, but missed talking to you as the two of you sat on the couch together. You wanted to tell her how much you love her, but you couldn't make the right words come out right and ended up sounding defensive instead. As you lay there next to her now, you trace your fingers across her arm just lightly enough to not wake her. You still haven't explained your depression to her, have you started seeing a therapist, or that you've been taking medication, and it's starting to feeling more and more like a secret that you're keeping instead of something she simply doesn't know about you yet. It's becoming more and more apparent that it's impacting your relationship with her, and you feel guilty about this. However, you're also terrified that she knew exactly how fucked up you are, that she would leave you. You're already worried that she's only with you because she doesn't realize how terrible of a person you are yet, and you're afraid that this would be the final thing to expose you. She stirs in her sleep and squints as she opens her eyes. With the confusion that comes with waking up, she asks you if you're awake and then if everything's okay. You should probably just tell her. She'll probably be happy that you're trying to get help. You feel like a jerk for accidentally waking her up, but you're afraid if you put this off any longer, that you won't find the strength to tell her everything later. No, actually, everything isn't okay. Can I tell you something? Something important? Alex sits up, rubbing the sleep out of her eyes. For the rest of the night, you lay side by side, holding hands as you tell her everything. You tell her how it's more than just a feeling sad sometimes, how you feel trapped by your own mind sometimes, how sometimes you feel nothing at all, and you can't shake it off. You tell her how you started going to therapy, how you feel embarrassed about it, and how it's working out for you. She listens the entire time, occasionally asking questions about how this or that works, and asking you to explain something further. She squeezes your hand and tells you she understands and that she's sad you didn't tell her sooner. After laying silent for a moment, the weight of what you just did hits you. You desperately want her to say something, to tell you how she's feeling about all this, but you're too afraid of what the answer would be. You start convincing yourself that now she knows everything, she's going to leave. There's no way someone could deal with how you really are. So how can I help? What do you need me to do? She asks. You think for a second. The answer you come up with fills you with despair. I honestly don't know. I wish I knew how to fix this, but I don't know that you can do anything. I think it's something I just have to live with. She looks at you with sad eyes before kissing you on the forehead. Then I'll live it with you. Oh, I don't know how you could possibly love me. She rolls over and wraps her arms around your neck, sending her head on top of yours. You don't need to, just know that I do. Yeah, sometimes you really care about your depressed friends, no matter how miserable and ridiculous they might be. And you just have, they're your dumbass. It's your dumbass and you have to live with them. It's a Friday night. You're laying across your bed feeling pathetic. As you were leaving work tonight, a group of coworkers asked if you wanted to join them for drinks. Feeling antisocial and put on the spot, you declined. You have a habit of doing this. You're often so convinced that you're weird and terrible that any invitation to hang out will end in disappointment for those inviting you. You never feel like you know how to act in group outings, and you feel like a total creep since it seems to come so naturally to everyone who isn't you. You find yourself petrified of breaking some unknown social rule that you don't often go out. Now, however, you find yourself alone at home. Your brain has begun telling you how pathetic and sad you are for being unable to just be a normal person and go out with nice people. You can't figure out why you can't just go out and meet people and enjoy yourself. At the same time, you're also feeling like no one would possibly want you to hang out if they really knew you, because you're dull and weird anyway. You try your typical strategy and boot up Netflix to distract yourself from these feelings, but frustration with yourself builds, and you realize that you have to do something else with your night. Anything else to take your mind of how awful and lonely you feel right now. What do? Get up and go out to the bar where your coworkers are hanging out anyway. See if Attic is online. Call Alex. Drink. Go out somewhere alone. Play with your cat. You're definitely still depressed, but things are getting better. Whatever you're doing seems to be working. You really feel like you're taking steps to effect positive change in your life. You now seem to enjoy seeing your therapist. Between giving you a chance to talk things out and the CBT techniques she shares with you, you find your sessions extremely helpful. You've been taking your medication regularly, and while you were skeptical at first, it's hard to argue with the fact that you're feeling better than you have in a long time. I could see how Attic's doing. I haven't had a lot of interaction with the cat, huh? I just want to see what happens with this. Nights like this, you're very glad you made the call. This has become a cat owner. Feeling too socially burnt out to interact with other people, you go find your cat. You get her to chase a laser pointer for a solid 30 minutes before she tires herself out. She pads over to you and collapses in a heap on your lap, purring loudly. Though initially she hated being picked up, you carry her to the computer desk with you, and she doesn't object. Setting her down in your lap, you comfortably surf the internet for a while before heading to bed. Having her there with you has a calming effect, and it makes you feel a lot less alone. Oh, a sweet baby. It's a cold Saturday afternoon. You've just arrived at Alex's apartment, and you're happy to finally see her after a week of absence due to your schedules not lining up due to work and school. You hug her in the doorway, but she breaks away sooner than normal and sits down on the couch as you take off your sneakers and laid them in the usual place, right next to hers. There's something I was hoping we could talk about, actually, she says. You instantly worry that you're being blindsided by a breakup conversation due to a sudden shift in tone, but she quickly smiles and puts you at ease when she sees all of the color leave your face. It's nothing bad, I promise. But that she leads you over to the couch and sits on the other side of it facing you. So I hope this doesn't freak you out, and if you feel like things are going too fast, just tell me. She talks faster than usual and fidgets. We seem to have a lot of weeks like this, and they really suck. I was thinking I'd ask, since things are so strong with us, what are your thoughts on maybe moving in together? It takes a few seconds to sink in and leaves you a bit shocked when it does. You were worried she wanted to spend less time with you, not more. Do you want to? You ask. Well, yeah, I do. I mean, we'd have to sort out logistics and everything, but those are all things we can take care of. You start to walk through the steps of imagining the two of you living together. You love the thought of being able to wake up next to her every day and seeing her so often. However, the more you picture it, the more a few concerns become apparent. There are things she is insulated from, like the days you don't feel like you can even get out of bed, the nights her medication keeps you from being able to sleep. All of those moments you're stuck staring at the wall, completely out of energy and feeling nothing. How would she handle that? How quickly would she want to get away? So she starts, what do you think? Take your relationship to the next step with ease. Move in together. Tell her you want to, but have concerns and discuss them honestly. Tell her you don't think it's a good idea for you right now. Decide to remove in regardless of your worries. Well, she knows you're already depressed, so just tell her your concerns. You're really worried that Alex were to live with you, she wouldn't be able to deal with your days of being unable to get out of bed, or nights where you can do nothing but stare at the wall and panic. Even though you've discussed your situation with her, you still feel that she doesn't realize the depths of how bad it gets. It's one thing for you to detail how you feel sometimes, and for her to see it pop up occasionally. It's an entirely different situation for it to be something she has to live with alongside you. Well, I'd like to, but I think it's best if we talk about it a bit before committing to a decision. Though she seems a little defeated, you make it clear that you're not making excuses and actually mean that you want to talk. You reiterate a lot of what you've told Alex that night, and although she gets a little defensive and tells you she knows all of that already, she confirms that she is willing to help you sort through your issues. I feel like you forget I love you sometimes. I know that there will be bad days, but I'd rather try to work through them with you. We can figure all of this out together. Her words sway you, and you can't help but hold her close to you. Aww. It's December, and you've returned to your parents' house to celebrate the holidays with your family. Out in the living room window, you can see a gentle flurry of snow drifting down to meet the pristine blanket of white from yesterday's unexpected Christmas Eve snowfall, and you quietly laugh to yourself at how incredibly cliche it seems. Still, as you sit down to dinner, you can't help but notice how being surrounded by family and the overly cushy atmosphere your mom's decorations have created actually made you feel relaxed and almost comfortable. Your mom is running around frantically checking the oven and drinking stockings and generally just trying to family time it up, while your dad sits at the head of the table drinking a beer and laughing with your brother Malcolm. His wife Karen is there too, who you always gotten along well with, and your parents even agreed to let you bring your kitten along. She's been darting in and out of people's legs and hopping into laps all night. Oh, what a charmer. As you thoughtfully munch away at your turkey, listening to the conversations around you, your thoughts drift back over the last few months. You think about how hard things had gotten, replaying over in your head some of your worst as well as some of your best memories. It seems like all of these things just came to a head over the past few months with a sudden flurry of relationship turmoil and professional anxiety, social stress, and above all an omnipresent sense of weight that it seems that you have just recently become aware of. You're drawn out of your reverie by your dad's familiar booming laugh as some cheesy comment Malcolm made seems to have hit its mark. Sitting at that table, you're suddenly immensely glad for the chance to be able to ignore everything for an evening and not have to struggle trying to explain yourself for once. Fortunately, everyone seems to be content with laughing at each other's jokes and discussing favorite sports teams, and for a while you think you'll be able to get through dinner without any embarrassing such personal intrusions. But no sooner did the thought cross your mind than the table conversation trickles off, leaving a slightly awkward silence to depend upon the dinner. So, how are you doing these days? Your mom asks you pointedly. It's such a simple question, and one that you seem to have had to answer countless times recently. Take a moment to collect your thoughts, and looking up, you take a deep breath. Well, you've never really thought of yourself as a fighter, and even to say it now sounds hokey, but looking back on the past few months to where you are now, it really does feel like you've endured an immense struggle. And you look at where you are now with a sense of something that isn't quite pride. You still hate your job and find it unpleasant, but you're surprised to find that going into work every day is no longer a monumental challenge. You started adopting some clever techniques, like taking short 2-minute breaks every hour to break up the monotony, and you now view your job as just 8 short hours of your day, a compartmentalization technique Dr. Melville told you about. You've actually found works quite well. You know this job isn't what you want to do for the rest of your life, and you started actively looking for other positions, even attending a couple of preliminary interviews. You started making effort to go out with your friends more. While the social scene still makes you very uncomfortable sometimes, you're more and more able to let yourself just enjoy the company of your friends. In fact, your relationship with many of them has increased over the past little while. You still definitely have days where you flake out or don't feel up to hanging out, but for the most part, your friends are understanding and appreciate your communication. By far, the biggest change you've noticed in your life has been your relationship with Alex. You were terrified of talking to her about everything at first, but looking back, you feel like it's only strengthened your relationship. She was always supportive of you emotionally, but lately the two of you have been even more in sync, and it's really starting to feel like you're building a life together. It even seems like the two of you have been making a more concerted effort to sync up your schedules, and have been spending more and more of your downtime with each other. Pretty soon, you think moving in together may be a very real possibility. Dr. Melville has commented on how well you seem to be doing, and whether a result of the therapy, the medication, or both, you can't help but agree. With all that seems to have improved recently, it's sometimes difficult for you to think about the fact that you still have bad days, sometimes even really bad days. They serve as a stark reminder of the fact that this will be something you'll likely have to deal with for the rest of your life. Depression is a battle, and though you're certainly ahead in the fight, you know the battle isn't ever going to be over. Sometimes even Alex can tell when things are going rough, despite your best efforts to the contrary. While you know that your depression can never be cured, you have a very strong support network in your friends and even Malcolm, and armed with a newfound confidence in your friends and family, you accept that though the road may be rocky, at very least it's not solitary. You meet your mom's gaze from across the table and muster up a smile. "I'm good, Mom," you tell her. She says nothing, but you can feel her smile from across the room. Aw, we really want to thank you for taking the time to play Depression Quest. We realize it may not be the most enjoyable game you've played, or even the easiest, and we sincerely appreciate your involvement. Like Depression itself, Depression Quest does not have an end, really. There's no neat resolution to depression, and it was important to us that Depression Quest's own resolution reflect that. Instead of a tidy ending, we want to just provide a series of outlooks to take moving forward. After all, that's all we can really do with depression, just keep moving forward. And at the end of the day, it's our outlook and support from people just like you that makes all the difference in the world. Thanks again. Zoe Quinn, writing, code, game design, photography, lead insomniac. Patrick Lindsay, writing, editing, lead grumbler. Music sound by Isaac Shankler. Includes samples from spreesound.org. 5 from People About Their Collections. Bar Atmosphere Not So Busy. Parisian Cafe number 2. Typing. Piano layer based on Ave Regina Caelorum by Guillaume Dufay, 1397 to 1474. WebKit port by Alan Keith. Special thanks Terrence Wiggins for his help with trailer ideas, blanket forts, and Depression Valentines. Barton Mothersill for being the internet friend one of us needed to get through some dark times. And you for being willing to play games that are meant to be something other than simply fun. Oh, nice. It's already time for me to sign off. So that perfectly fit into my very distracted back and forth little gaming stream today. Alright, I like this. I think it's pretty great. Like, yeah, it's sad and stuff, but like, thankfully I'm the type of person who doesn't necessarily get super triggered by talks about depression and having it and the sort of symptoms of it and how it makes you feel. Instead, I'm like, yes, that is how it is. Yes, it's relatable. Hashtag relatable. You get it. So instead, it just feels like catharsis. It's actually kind of hopeful, you know? Like, yeah, I'm gonna go right back to working on the dragon Furby I was working on earlier, and I'm gonna do a great job on it, and I'm gonna contact that person back who came by yesterday, asking if I could do custom Furbies, and I'm gonna get the store envy shop back up and running, and, well, maybe, okay, I gotta calm down, do a little bit at a time so I don't get overwhelmed, but, yeah, okay. I'm glad I played this finally. It was a good time. Okay, I guess, I don't even think anyone's here, but I gotta end the stream now, so see you later. Go drink some water, do a stretch, pet your cat or dog or lizard or whatever you have. I hope you have a good rest of the day. Night, whatever. Bye.